The virtual CISO moment is brought to you by vCISO Services, a leading provider of quality and experienced virtual chief information security officers for small and mid-sized businesses. Check them out at vcisoservices.com.
Good morning, happy Monday, and welcome to the Virtual CISO Moments Cybersecurity Quick Strike for Monday, April 17th, 2023. Starting this a little bit early because, as you can tell, this is not the office studio. This is a hotel. I am on the road. I am in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be giving a presentation on So You Want to Be a Cybersecurity Consultant. The full extended version of that presentation will be available on the YouTube channel. That's the handle of VC. So later on this afternoon, if you're interested, the full version is about an hour and 50 minutes. More on that later. Got a lot to talk about today. From security affairs experts found that the first lockbit encryptor that targets Mac OS systems. Now, researchers warn that the lockbit ransomware gang has developed encryptors to target Mac OS devices. The Lockbit Group is the first ransomware gang of all time that has created encryptors to target Mac OS systems. Malware Hunter Team warns. Malware Hunter Team researchers discovered that the Lockbit encryptor is in a zip archive uploaded to VirusTotal. The discovery is disconcerting and demonstrates the effort of the group to expand beyond its operation, targeting into Apple systems. The experts pointed out that the archive has been bundled as of March 20th, 2023. It also includes builds for PowerPC CPUs, which are used in older macOS systems. The VX Underground research team argues that the macOS variant has been available actually since November 11th of 2022, while the popular malware researcher Florian Roth claims to have found an Apple M1 encryptor that was uploaded to VirusTotal on December 10th, or rather December, no day, 2022. Bleeping Computer reports that the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, warned of a high-severity Android vulnerability believed to have been exploited by Chinese e-commerce app Pinduoduo as a zero-day to spy on its users. This Android framework security flaw, which is tracked as CVE 2023-20963, allows attackers to escalate privileges on unpatched Android devices without requiring user interaction. CISA explains, quote, the Android framework contains an unspecified vulnerability that allows for privilege escalation after updating an app to a higher target SDK with no additional execution privileges needed. I believe SDK would be Software Development Kit. Yeah. Google addressed the bug in security updates released in early March saying, quote, there are indications that CVE 2023-20963 may be under limited targeted exploitation. Now, on March 21st, Google suspended the official shopping app of Chinese online retail giant Pinduoduo, which claims actually to have 750 million active users, from the Play Store after discovering malware in off-play versions of the app, tagging it as harmful app and warning users that it could allow for, quote, unauthorized access to their device. Google releases urgent Chrome update to fix actively exploited zero-day. This says the Hacker News. Google on Friday released an out-of-band updates to resolve an actively exploited zero-day flaw in its Chrome web browser, making it the first such bug to be addressed since the start of the year. Tracking as CVE 2023-2033, this high-security vulnerability has been described as a type confusion issue with the V8 JavaScript engine. Clement Lessine of Google's threat analysis group, TAG, has been credited with reporting the issue on April 11th, 2023. And the quote here is, type confusion in V8 and Google Chrome prior to 112.0.5615.121 allowed a remote attacker to potentially exploit heap corruption via a crafted HTML page. Now, Google acknowledged that an exploit for this exists in the wild, but stopped short of sharing additional technical specs or other IOCs to prevent further exploitation by threat actors. This vuln shares similarities to some other CVEs off from 2022, 1096, 1364, 3723, and 4262. Now, users are recommended to upgrade to version 112.0.5615.121. Remember that there will be a test later for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux to mitigate potential threats. Users of Chromium-based browsers such as Microsoft Edge, Brave, Opera, and Vivaldi are also advised to apply the fixes as and when they become available. LinkedIn has deployed a new security identity verification for all members. This is from SC Magazine, who reports that all LinkedIn members are getting a boost in secure identity verification as the networking platform deployed new measures that will be offered free of charge. We like free. The platform announced 3 new identity measures for users, which join previous security methods deployed by LinkedIn in 2022, specifically in October of 2022. Announced April 12th, LinkedIn will now allow users to verify their identity with the secure identity platform Clear, which can be displayed on their profile beginning this month. Users will need to provide a U.S. government-issued ID and phone number for verification. Along with Clear users, that's CLEAR, no idea what that stands for, but it is an acronym. Users will also be able to verify where they work using their company email, currently available to 50 million members worldwide and more than 4,000 companies. The measure is designed to ensure that each profile is authentic. Definitely a needed item. Brian Krebs asks, why is juice jacking suddenly back in the news? It's a good question. Krebs on Security received a nice bump in traffic, according to Brian Krebs, this past week, thanks to tweets from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, about the so-called juice jacking. Now, this term was first coined, I guess, by Krebs here in 2011 to describe a potential threat of data theft when one plugs their mobile device into a public charging kiosk. It remains unclear what may have prompted the alerts, but the good news is that there are some fairly basic things you can do to avoid having to worry about juice jacking. Now, as far as the alert goes, on April 6th this year, the FBI's Denver office issued a warning about juice jacking in a tweet. Quote, avoid using free charging stations in airports, hotels, or shopping centers, the FBI's Denver office warned. Bad actors have figured out ways to use public USB ports to introduce malware and monitoring software into devices, carry your charger and USB cord, and use an electrical outlet instead. And then 5 days later, the FCC issued a similar warning. Think twice about using public charging stations. Hackers could be waiting to gain access to your information. Now, the term juice jacking crept into the collective paranoia of gadget geeks in the summer of 2011, thanks to the headline for a story here on Krebs about researchers at the DEF CON hacker convention in Vegas who'd set up a mobile charging station designed to educate the unwary to the reality of the many mobile devices that connected to a computer would sync their data by default. Now, keep in mind a couple of things. First of all, there hasn't been any indication that there's an increase in this, so it's unclear. That's why Krebs was saying it's unclear why this is suddenly like a thing now. But also, since then, Apple, as he notes, Apple, Google, and other mobile devices makers have changed the way that their hardware and software work so that the devices no longer automatically sync data when one plugs a cable in with a USB charging cable. Instead, users are presented with a prompt asking if they wish to trust the connected computer before any data transfer takes place. Juice jacking also is not possible if a device is charged via a trusted AC adapter, a battery backup device, or through a USB cable with only power wires and no data wires present. If you lack these things in a bind and still need to use a public charging kiosk or random computer, at least power your device off before plugging it in. My personal opinion is that this threat has been way overstated, although it is prevalent. It's just a couple of things to mitigate it and you'll be fine. They actually have those little inline things too. If you're really not sure, the inline devices, they will only pass the power and not the data. And that way you can be definitely sure of it. But keep in mind too that there are, I can't remember the name of it, but there is it's an OMG, I think, that produces a cable that for threat hunters, for penetration testers, that can actually inline steal your information and transmit it via Wi-Fi without you knowing. So watch those free cords that you get at trade shows. Now, my favorite part, I actually got two lists for you today. So let me pivot over to here first. The first one is from Physicochemists. These are 5 top cybersecurity risks every business owner should know. Most of you may already or not know this, but part of the reason why I include these things is because some of the listeners to this podcast are small and mid-sized business owners and not cybersecurity professionals. Therefore, I feel that it's important to convey this sort of information. Now, remember with the lists, I only look at the title. I have not read through it. Could be a wonderful list, could fall flat on its face. We'll see. And this list is from, like I said, Physicochemics. They talk about what cybersecurity is, cybersecurity analysts, types of cybersecurity, application security, information security. This might be one of those falling flat on the face things. Cybersecurity risk assessment. Is cybersecurity hard? I might be looking at the wrong thing. Well, okay. I was expecting to see a list of items like right up front, and apparently this article is not showing it. So gave it its 30-second due diligence. We're going to trash it. But you can look for that article in the show notes. The second one, this is a little bit more timely for today. These are 4 things that you should never do while chatting with ChatGPT. Of course, ChatGPT has been in the news recently. I tend to like to talk about it more often than not, I think. I find it fascinating. So I saw this headline, thought it would be useful. This comes from BGR, and we'll just go ahead and get started. So, number 1, this is an obvious one. Don't share your personal data with ChatGPT. OpenAI gobbles up all the data in order to train ChatGPT. ChatGPT will also use the data you input into chat, so don't make the mistake of including personal data in the conversation. All of that gets saved, and it's also used in learning, could regurgitate out sometime down the road. Now, remember that Italy and Canada now were the first countries to investigate ChatGPT over privacy matters. I did not know that about Canada. And the article here also notes about the Samsung issue that we talked about last week here on the podcast, where a worker uploaded some confidential information in the course of using ChatGPT, but confidential Samsung information, not a good thing. Number 2, don't install untrusted ChatGPT apps. And it's so advanced it can code malware for you with the right prompts, but hackers do not need the AI to target you with the malware they created without the help of ChatGPT. You know, this is actually, I think, pretty important. From what I understand, there is no mobile app for AI's OpenAI's ChatGPT, but there are a lot of apps out there. I actually looked at one. Maybe I should have edited it a little bit further, but didn't really see any use of it, so I uninstalled it. Be careful about that. Number 3, don't forget to ask ChatGPT for sources, because sometimes ChatGPT is wrong. You know what? It's programmed by people, and people are fallible, and people also have agendas. And you want to always, whatever you source, you want to find the source, you want to ask for the reference, and you want to double check, you want to fact check. Don't take it blindly. That's a lot to ask for. Now, number 4, don't forget about copyright laws. Since OpenAI fed ChatGPT lots and lots of data to train the large language model, the chatbot remembers everything, including material that might be copyright protected, but in ChatGPT's eyes, that doesn't matter. So ChatGPT won't be flagged for having violated copyright laws, but you might be. And that's it for the list. Let me get back to our agenda for today. I wanted to pivot to something that I really enjoy every year, and that is the learning of the recipient of the current year's vCISO Services Scholarship. This year, congratulations to Irini Nagib. She is the recipient of the 2023 Greg and Vicky Schaefer vCISO Services Cybersecurity Scholarship. Now, this scholarship provides a student at Middle Tennessee State University excelling academically and interested in a cybersecurity career $1,000 towards their education costs. The scholarship was established in 2019 and fully endowed in 2022, which means it will outlive me. Irini is looking for a cybersecurity internship, so if you can help out, please contact her on her LinkedIn profile. It is listed in the show notes. Now, I mentioned before that I'm here in Birmingham, Alabama, at the Cybersecurity Southeastern Cyber Summit, I think is the official name of it. If you're here, look for me. I'll be the short guy with a lot of hair, probably wearing an Air Force fleece today, maybe tomorrow too. But look for me. Would love to hook up with you and connect. The extended version of the presentation is available on youtube.com/VCISO. That is the virtual CISO, VCISO services handle. You can also find episodes of this podcast archived there. I would encourage you, if you're interested, subscribe. You'll be notified when it drops. It'll drop this afternoon, I believe, at 4 o'clock Central. I wanted to drop it after the presentation. The reason why I did it is because I realized I had an awful lot to say and not enough time to say it. The presentation at this conference and at B-Sides that I did on Saturday, this past Saturday, was only about 45 minutes because of time constraints. So had to rush through it somewhat, plus answer questions. Anyway, if you're interested, check that out. And then finally, I started something that I hope has some beneficial effects for those who have been laid off or some other way have found themselves between positions in the cybersecurity field, information security field as well, and are looking for their next great opportunity and could use a little bit of a boost. I'm doing shout outs, one per Monday and Friday episodes, in the hope that perhaps somebody listening or watching this podcast might be able to help make a connection and eventually change that situation. Today's shout out is for Mark DeBry. Now, Mark DeBry has been a leader in the IT and security world for 20 years, over 20 years at IBM and Microsoft, leading the development and implementation of global cybersecurity programs. However, he was recently impacted by the Microsoft layoffs, so he started a virtual CISO company while looking for a full-time CISO or security director role. If you know of any companies looking for a strong security leader, check him out at LinkedIn, and his handle, his LinkedIn profile link is there in the show notes. And last but not least, tomorrow's episode got a great interview with fellow VCISOer Matt DeChant. We talk all things VCISO, business ownership, and all that fun stuff. So until then, hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and as always, stay secure.